Welcome, everyone. This is Pilot Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at places in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Krister
Hello.
and Cinders.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. And this week we have some news to discuss. And the first item on the agenda is Update 39.2. This is a small little update here, so let us discuss here. This was released on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. And the first thing they noted is that instances can no longer award legendary gold traceries unless the instance is set to a level cap, and also requires players themselves to be at that level cap, or up to 3 levels below it, in order to receive legendary traceries. This means that instances such as the Doom of Karos Galebrin will henceforth only award incomparable tier traceries when the instance is set to level 141 through 149, but can award legendary traceries when set to level 150. If the instance in question is set to level 150, players present when the chest is open must be between levels 147 and 150 if they want to receive legendary traceries. This is true for any historical level caps as well. You can run instances at level 130, for example, to earn legendary Morgul traceries, but the players present must be levels 127 through 130. Get all that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't sound very happy with that.
I'm actually fine with it. But...
Yeah. All right. So let's go into our general notes there. For the streets of Rahalbach, the Hassip chest now has a chance to drop a legendary tracery on tiers 4 and 5. For the Isle of Storms, Rockreek's chest now has a chance to drop a legendary tracery on tiers 3 through 5. For the Arena the Hall Hulis, the Arena Champions chest now has a chance to drop legendary traceries on tiers 3 to 4. For the Depths of Machta Corvo, the Well-Worn Corsair's chest now has a chance to drop a legendary tracery on tiers 3 to 4. Forgotten Smuggler chest now has a chance to drop legendary tracery on tier 2. For Azagoth's Sea Shadow and his crew are now more aggressive and responsive to players who enter the arena to face them. And Slapping Tentacles now throw stones at random players if left alive too long. Exact time depends on the instance tier. And Hawcroft's Static Shock is now much more damaging and will correctly damage players near the crackling conduit. So, Krister, did any Slapping Tentacles throw stones at you?
Well, it was kind of... I think in terms of the tentacle management, it was bang on last night. We had a couple situations where the healers were getting hit by the Slapping Tentacles, but we got it under control right away. The one thing that stood out about last night was just that people were noticing that they were getting stunned a lot more. So we just didn't know if that was because... people still weren't used to I don't know if it was the crocodiles with their improved attack or whatnot. But in terms of the tentacles, I think that would explain our healers talking about getting hit by the tentacles a lot last night, even though it appeared that I had them under control. So that might explain some of the things where...
Yeah, that would explain. Yeah, because they said throw stones at random players, and that means... Usually that means ignoring anything like who they have control of.
Yeah, it's probably it's random. They probably throw them with the healers all the time.
Well, that's because the ones who have a higher morale than the healers probably aren't noticing it or something like that.
That could be it too. The healers are very sensitive to actually having things attacking them.
Yeah, they tend to be watching the green bars a lot more closely than the DPSs. The Arenas of Conflict made a deed. Deeds of the Arena of Conflict will now bestow and complete properly. The Owl Greg, Minivan, and White have erected a task board in Tlanuk, where 5 new level 60 task quests can be found and award reputation for their faction. These tasks are also available at the neighborhood task boards, and what took them so long?
Right?
And I just had a character recently leave the area, so didn't have a chance to do any tasks over there. But apparently,
Oh,
when my Mariner gets there, I will be able to do some tasks in there, something that I haven't been able to do any of my previous characters.
isn't that where we were, though, Pine Leaf? Isn't that the next area we're going to deed in?
Yeah, that's going to be the next area we are going to be deeding in. Yes. Well, I meant someone reasonably on level, because the characters we're going in there, it's not exactly where...
On level.
On level, yes. We're a few levels above the recommended range for that area. I know, being level appropriate is overrated, right?
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. You want to be overpowered in every situation.
Yes.
Okay. Monsters with skill power costs will use significantly... We're using significantly too much power per skill play. These power costs have been adjusted to a more appropriate scale. For classes, Bjorning's Umbari armor of the Razor Claw red set once again restores wrath over time as intended. Fixed issues with Bjorning Bond of Trust, Honey Cleanse, and Desperate Shouts, which were not functioning correctly or consistently due to an incorrect skill type flags on many of their skills. Brawler's Umbari armor of the Iron Fist 4 set bonus will no longer proc off bravado attacks. Burglar's sudden diversion no longer inappropriately resets the cooldown of touch and go. Captain's telling mark should no longer toggle off when its target is temporarily debuffed by a mariner's marked foes effect. Runekeeper's fugitive and molten runestone damage is now correctly classified as tactical, so it will not bypass incoming damage modifiers. And Lacro's explosive arrow once again deals its intended damage. And that's it for update 39.2.
All right, you said something that makes me incredibly potentially, not actually. Are you telling me that the shanty men, the shanty guys, the shanty people, all the shanty people, they can overwrite my mark and reset it? Because it sounds like if they're making that exception, that they might have other things, like, like if I put my telling mark and then the shanty person puts something else on it, then they take my telling mark off. Because that might explain a lot of what was happening last night, where I found my telling mark falling off my my targets.
All right, let's have a look at what it said again. All right. The captain's telling mark should no longer toggle off when its target is temporarily debuffed by the mariner's marked foes effect. So it says that it will no longer be toggled off.
Right, but are there other things that the mariners do that would toggle my telling mark off? See, I knew they were going to. They're just trying to take over. It's like they're just trying to sail up and take over.
They were out to get you.
And now they're calling. They're not calling. You know what? If people are calling it Boathies, I think is the Mariners' Oathies now. No, Boathies should be both of our Oathbreakers equivalents. Boathies sounds too much like Oathies. See, that's the other way that they do it. It's Mariners use parallel piratey language.
Uh-huh.
You say how you doing? They say R. Or R. R matey.
Okay.
Finally was just like, what have we gotten into?
Yeah. Well, you mean they're calling the Mariner version of Oathies Boathies, you said?
People were calling it last night for referring to it as Boathies, I think. So, or I think it's supposed to be Boaties.
But Boaties. Okay.
But it just became Boathies because that rhymes.
All right. And did they have a nickname for Murder of Crows?
Nope, they were just calling it Murder of Crows last night.
We called those Birdies.
called Birdies. Yes.
Hmm.
Well,
actually,
Birdies
that was
at least makes sense.
yeah, in the final fight, we were actually using all three.
And had them all timed down perfectly so that they didn't
Yeah.
interfere with one another?
Yep. Yeah, it was actually really, really well coordinated. It was like a crow's wasn't a that was a 20% damage, but that was the one that was available the most.
Right.
Although it didn't seem like we had any problems with the resets on both the Mariner and the Captain. So
Okay.
So we've got Boathies, Birdies, and Oathies. Oh my!
oh my goodness. Yes, oh my.
Yeah, right. Now, along with this update, there was also another thing that was added, and that were the items for the 17th anniversary of LOTRO. That's right. Lord of the Rings Online is celebrating 17 years. And thank you for help making this possible.
Fireworks sound here.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I offended people last night when I put my new frame on, and I was like, so how does everybody else love their new 17-year frame? Oh wait, nobody else has one? Oh, that's too bad.
Oh, Krister.
Oh, I don't care. I think it's so funny when people are trying to make a big deal out of it when they start playing. It doesn't matter. I started playing the first week, and that's because I'm a gigantic nerd. That's why. That's why I did it.
Anyway,
nothing to be proud of.
In my defense, I didn't hear about it until like 2007 when I started playing it, or not 2007, 2017. 2007. That would be 17.
Yeah,
no, I got the 7-year one.
Well, just trying to fit your head around the idea of a video game lasting for 17 years too is quite
well. I believe
impressive.
That EverQuest is celebrating 25 or something.
Well,
like
yeah. It's just just those time frames just seem incredible,
Yeah, you would think some of it. Well, some would actually be spelling a game. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
That is a pretty long time. Does anyone still play Ultima Online? Because that was the first one I ever heard of.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe actually it's going along quite well.
Ooh, right?
Yeah, that was painful. That was the painful one where when you died, you left a corpse with stuff, and somebody else could come along and take all your stuff before you got back to your corpse.
Yeah, that was my set of MMOs has changed over the years, I guess you could say.
Yeah, we like to try pretty much all of them. So, but I just found LOTRO just had an appeal that none of the others quite did, and so I ended up sticking with that. Glad I did too.
All right. And the anniversary event will continue until May 6th.
Woohoo!
Actually, it closes. It'll go all the way through May 5th, and it closes down at 3 a.m. server time on May 6th. So if you want to have any business you want to conduct, make sure it's done by May 5th. And also, for the 17th anniversary login reward, for players that have acquired the 16th anniversary gift box, the 17th anniversary gift box has arrived. And that means that will be available until 3 a.m. on April 1st of 2025. That's where the rule in there is that from the anniversary, you have until the next April 1st in order to log in and claim your reward. Once you claim it on one character, all your characters are able to get the award on there. The idea there is that you log in at least once a year in order to keep incrementing your anniversary reward. And so some people like Krister have their 17th year gift box, which includes a green dragon in fireworks, which looks a little bit like a galaxy coming out.
And not like a dragon.
I wanted it to be far more dragony, so I can play. In fact, that's great that you said that, just because I feel like you felt the same way. So I complained bitterly about it, and then whipped out my other firework that looked like a dragon. It said, "This is a dragon."
Well, it is the green dragon in fireworks, not the.
I don't want to hear your sense and logic. I don't.
And as Christopher said, he also got a 17-year frame. So I presume that's adding one extra silver mark on top of the one from the 16th frame.
Yeah, it's starting to look like those old dudes you see with the gigantic plate of ribbons on their on their military uniform. Yeah, we're definitely running out of space for leaves at this point. So
yeah. And then the Merrymaker title. And for monster players, they get the Victory Gyre fireworks, the 17-year frame, the plus 5% attack damage times 5, and the title of Killjoy.
ooh.
All players will receive the anniversary gift box corresponding to the prior year received when they log in during this time. As for the anniversary event itself, the new rewards are the Hat of the Green Dragon Inn, the Outfit of the Green Dragon Inn, the Steed of the Green Dragon Inn, Festival and Mithril Barter, the Green Dragon Inn Comparison, the Green Dragon Inn Headpiece, also the Green Dragon Inn Bar, and the Green Dragon Inn Keg. Just in case you want a little bit of the Green Dragon in your house. Garments of the Green Dragon Inn gift wrap selection box, Tomb of the Sienna Hamster Festival and Mithril Barter, and Green Dragon Inn War Steed Cosmetics. And as for Festivity Anniversary Barter, Tomb of the Merrymaking Hamster, Festivity and Mithril Barter, and Green Dragon Inn Tankard. For the Keeper of Gifts Steel Barter, we have the Green Dragon Inn Fireworks consumable version. And also Monster Player Keeper Gives Steel Token Barter, we have the Victory Gyre Fireworks consumable. And then we also have in the article linked here a picture of the keg, of the fireworks laden hamster, someone dancing in front of their Green Dragon bar, and someone on the mount.
So are we literally seeing the Green Dragon Inn become the first franchise in Middle Earth?
I think
I mean, if
so.
everybody's going to have a Green Dragon Inn in their house. Boy, imagine the franchise. I can almost smell the cash.
The Green Dragon. And of course, they're expecting that you will order from them the appropriate ale to
You have to
serve there. Yeah, because
you have to buy the Green Dragon Inn napkins and Green Dragon Inn chairs.
Yes, you'll need all of that. Yes, all that stuff that you'll be needing so that you can celebrate properly.
All your servers will have to have flair.
Yeah, and that's what we have for the 17th anniversary. And on top of the regular game update, we also had the first Bowler update for Update 40. Now, unfortunately, the Update 40 stuff itself wasn't ready. They had the secondary items that are being added were in there. And it's now only going to be in next week where they're going to finally have the Update 40 stuff ready to look at. And for that reason, Scenario's original planned casual stroll from this week is being pushed to next week so that he'll be able to show off what's happening in Update 40. But let's have a look at what they did have in the Bowler update here. And please note, of course, that since this relates to Update 40, in order to do the testing on this, you would have to have access to items relating to the core series of Umbar. Now, of special note, players can now apply custom names to their carryalls, and maybe when we are able to.
Yeah, I think
it's ironic that they were testing this at the same time we have an issue when we discuss.
Yeah, I feel like there's something else with the carryalls that might be taking precedence over the excitement of being able to rename them.
Yes. Well, once they get carryalls working again, yes, you'll be able to rename your carryalls. And please note that custom name, while it will show when it's in your inventory, it will not show while it is in the vault. But if you do store it in the vault, then when you return it from your vault, it back into your inventory, the name will show up again. So apparently, whatever text they use in this isn't able to display the nickname that you gave it.
Oh, that's frustrating. I
When
wonder
it's
if
in the
it's just a
vault.
limiting. I wonder if that's
Yeah.
a limit of their programming language.
Right. Yeah, I'm not too sure what that's all about, but that does mean then that
Yeah, because a lot
you
of people
can't use the
a lot of people last night were talking about how excited they were about being able to name them so they could differentiate them. Well, if you
Right.
log into shared storage and you can't, then okay, that kind of takes away a little bit of the excitement.
Yeah. So putting into the shared storage all different ones in there, it's still a little bit of a problem on that end. So it looks
But I
like
love the fact that they're going to let us rename them. I mean, that's great. That's a great change.
yes, especially considering that I've got a cook with 3 different carryalls at the moment. And that's just counting the ones for crafting.
Don't
Right.
ask
That's what
about
people
mine.
were talking about. Yeah, because they were talking about having the multiples of the same carryall. That's where it was getting incredibly confusing.
Yeah.
It does get very confusing.
I think the funniest thing was when they introduced those carryalls, and I had this blissful moment that I hadn't had in years where I'd like cleaned out like 30. I had 30 inventory spaces on my main character, which was unheard of. And then I was excited about it, and then a half an hour later, my inventory was completely filled again. It was like, wait, how did this happen? I think that's why it's just never enough. No matter how much money you get, it's just never enough.
Yeah, that's sort of the rule, is that inevitably the amount of stuff you carry is going to fill no matter how much inventory space you have. They could give you 3 trillion inventory slots, and somehow you'll manage to fill it. If it weren't for the fact that carrying 3 terabytes worth of data space relating to all this stuff is probably going to crash your system.
Oh my goodness! Just to think about that bloated file loading every time.
Maybe that's why everything's so laggy.
That might be.
All these people with 3 terabytes worth of data.
All those bulging bags inside of bags.
I'm sure that is part of the issue. Yes. For the store, open store sessions will now be terminated at character logout to prevent confusion about what character purchases are delivered to. For players awaiting to return to the return of Ketif, feel free to visit his assistant at Jacques Final. She's finally heard back from her mentor, and he requires assistance. If you are in Umbar Bahar Bell, you can visit Swain's Guild Hall to find Kefif near the cook's oven. Well, I should have no trouble finding him then once this goes live. Monster Play updates for the Siege. Yes, right. They are once again testing the Siege. We're turning the Siege on to highlight some changes to the system. Players can purchase schematics to build their Siege weapons in the Etmoors, and accessing towers while your side on the fight controls them and your Siege doors are active now appear at hidden locations besides both Tirith Rar and Lungazag. But there were a number of known issues. Siege catapults can float above terrain when placed in the Etmoors.
I don't see how that's problematic.
Physics may remain for a brief period after gates are destroyed in the Etmoors. Siege rams can still attack enemy creatures. They should only attack gates. The interior gate of Lugazog needs physics adjustments and currently does not completely block entry, and the interior gate of Tirithral does not line up perfectly with its physics, but should prevent players from passing through. So, yes. So they're still finding some more issues with this particular feature, but maybe someday they'll have it to a state where they are able to test this. And in fact, part of the reason of doing all these tests in the moors was they're also doing some stress testing during the time in which they were on there. And I'm sure they wanted to get as many people in the moors as possible so they could do that stress testing. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. And as for other items, other known issues is the crafting panel is not working correctly in that build. Hopefully they'll have that fixed before the next build. It is a work in progress to incorporate the new fourth profession option. Please do not submit bugs on this feature at this time. So they are trying to get the fourth profession in there, but looks like it's still being a little recalcitrant. As for classes and skills, Bastion of Light, which when modified with both Radiant and Flash of Light, failed to spread debuffs applied by the Guardian. This has been fixed. And we fixed a string error that was reintroduced by the protection of the sword skill.
Okay, that will be a good thing when it goes live.
Yeah. And as for combat and monsters, monster power use. Monsters with skill power costs were using significantly too much power per skill play. These power costs have been adjusted a little bit more. Actually, I think that one was actually in the most recent update. In other words, that was a 39.2 item that was included in there. So apparently that filter. There were a couple of things that were in earlier updates that managed to find their way into this list. Like they had the one about nerfing the Guardians in there, and all the Guardians were thinking that it was doing it again rather than a copy and paste error.
Well, I'm glad it was a copy and paste error.
Okay, yes. Better than it being literal, yes.
Right. Although I did get some good mileage out of the, a nerf to nothing is still nothing. Yeah, 5% of nothing is still nothing.
Yeah. What, Krister?
That just blew my mind. That's like a Zen philosophy of Gimli or something.
It was a pine leafism.
Whoa.
Well, actually, that was sort of coming from Tribble with Tribbles.
Pine Leaf is the one who said it to me, and I was like, 5%
yes.
of nothing is still nothing.
Yes. All right. Quest deeds and adventure areas for the Foresters event. Carry Caber Slow now allows players to carry the Caber at a walking pace. Bjornings can now use Carry Caber Fast and Carry Caber Slow while not in bear form. Bjornings can now use the log remote. This only functions while not in bear form. There is now
I'm sorry, but don't you feel like a bear would be much more effective logger? Like put a bunch of couldn't you carve maybe some axe tips that you could put on their claws and just like Freddy Krueger, just you like my sound effect for chopping the tree down? Anyway, sorry. I'm so being a Bjorning, having played a Bjorn. I mean, very tired of all this have to be in man form stuff. Okay.
Well, there is now a message letting players know that there are 2 minutes before the Forester event begins. And the Forester event now appropriately states the Combe Lumber Camp. 5 new level 143 quests have been added to Loncarion. They can be obtained from Lindil near the entrance of the upper Loncarion as well as others within the city. All right, I wonder what those are all about. I guess we'll find out when the update comes. The posted notice involved in the quest, the Isles, the Night Noriel, should now display properly on the outskirts of Mar Nafra. Please, thank you. I guess I was just doing that. We're doing that quest with Krister on Wednesday, and yeah.
Oh, that's right. She didn't. Yeah. Wasn't she not there the first time around? Or?
No. She was there. It's just that the the notice board that we checked doesn't have anything on it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Even though the fact that we're supposed to be reading something from it. Find some assorted typos in Umbar Quest involving specific crew members. For Update 40, updated the name of the Competitive Forester trait for accomplishment to Competitive Forester 4. And also, the objective counter should no longer exceed the number needed in continuous supply. Continuous supply and burgeoning business, the counter for tracking crab meat, shells, and claws continue to advance beyond the requirement. This has been fixed. The arenas of conflict made a deed. Deeds of the arena of conflict will now bestow and complete properly. The daily quest Claws for Excitement now has updated directions in the quest comments. Fix a small typo in the A Price to be Paid quest, and the Umbari Crafting Daily quest were not bestowing properly for characters that had left and then rejoined a profession. This has been fixed. As for instances and skirmishes, in the depths of Magna Corbo, Belandor's exaltation of battle potency increased. The likelihood of 2 crushing tentacles spawning during the head-up phase in the boss 3 fight for the raid is reduced on tiers 1 through 3. In the final boss fight of Magna Corbo, we extended the time that it takes for the next boat to be crushed to 30 seconds to allow players more time to recover and deal damage to the Kraken's head. In the final boss encounter in Magna Corbo, we made small adjustments to the timers on ads to arrive when boats are destroyed or tentacles take too long to kill. In the final boss encounter in Magna Corbo, when the Kraken submerges, any active tentacles wrapping boats are now disabled and the head cannot be struck when it is underwater. And Nogalko's Hungering Flame can no longer be a scion. As for landscape, the landscape for the Fleet Watch Tavern and the Fleet Fast of Umbar Baharbel has been moved to its correct location. Thank you. The Great River, Pards, Celebrant, and Othberg now have ambient effects. Miscellaneous floating objects have been grounded. Miscellaneous Z fighting has been resolved. Miscellaneous physics stuck spots issues have been resolved. And new travel destinations have been added in and around Umbar Baharbel at the Swain's Guild Hall. I'm sure a lot of people are happy about that. The Bloody Eagle Tavern. I'm sure plenty of people are happy about that. The Gate of Sorrow and the Fleet Gate. Oh boy, did that place need one. I've been trying to figure out how to get to that place without either A, going a long way around or going out the east gate and back up into the other gate, or B, going through the gut. So it would be nice to have a travel location there now. And Arador's Hunter's Camp. And there's also going to be a new milestone at the camp. All right. And also miscellaneous things. Bill Roseward and Bert Goldenleaf, stable masters in Breetown, now have consistent appearances.
I wonder what was inconsistent about their appearance.
I don't know.
Were they just different people?
Well, I have a feeling maybe that they were keeping the same name all the way through, and like the generic stable masters, and had in it the code to change the stable, because there's some stable masters that do randomly change every time you go to them, and that's intended. So they just call them stable masters so that it wouldn't be a problem. But since those were two named characters,
they just found out he was running some kind of complex insurance scam or something.
All right. Now, as we have mentioned at least once before in here, they have put on the temporary restrictions relating to carry-alls. And the following carry-alls have been temporarily disabled due to a bug: crafting, task items, Essence and Tracery, and Healer carryalls. These carryalls continue to craft and complete task quests using items already placed in them, and carryalls previously set to auto gather can continue to do so. And I can only hope that next week's update includes a fix to this, because I believe that Tier 5 is coming out next week and that there's probably going to be an update made in order to do that.
Well, yeah, and I wonder what was going on. Was it like duplicating items when they're being placed in there or something? Or
Well, that's the only thing I can think. Well, that there's a way to manually cause it, because if it would happen, even if we're automatically placed, then they wouldn't be allowing it to auto gather.
True. Okay.
So my guess is that's related to either A, some sort of dupe exploit, or B, some sort of my stuff is disappearing bug.
As bad
And both,
as
yeah,
I was gonna say, as bad as B is, I would prefer B to A, because seriously, if it's A, I want to know who they are, because they're why we can't have nice things.
right. Because yes, it's either because yes, if it were a case where someone saw an exploit but no one was taking advantage of it, then they would just quietly fix it. Probably, or something like that.
Yeah.
But they took extreme measures, and that means somebody must have been doing something nasty. Also note that, as I pointed out earlier, there is going to be a casual stroll with scenario next week on Twitch at noon next Wednesday, which is going to feature a preview of the new areas that are coming out with Update 40. And as such, I'm hoping that means that the Update 40 areas are going to finally be ready so that they can include them in the next Volvorer build. Because I'm assuming that he's going to be doing this on Volvorer instead of on Palantir, but we'll have to, or an internal server or whatever they would be doing. We'll find out, I guess, next week, but in here. But we are going to have a casual stroll on it so that we can have a look at what's coming up. Of course, if you don't like spoilers, then you might want to avoid that particular video. And that's it for our news this week. So let's go to our store sales. Cinders, what's on sale?
Well, it is double bonus point time, so you can get twice the bonus points in the LOTRO store. Now through April 28th. You can forge your own ring and get 30% off Crafting Guild access, ingredient packs, crafting accelerators, rapid craft, crafting tiers, and recipe books through April 25th. And for the weekly coupon, you can get a free pig in a blanket housing decoration with coupon code COZYPIG. COZYPIG, also through the 25th. So again, the crafting items and weekly coupon are through the 25th, and the double bonus points are through the 28th.
I should note that for the next couple of weeks, Cordovan is going to be personally handling the coupon codes, and he's going to be doing some experiments with them. Like one of the things, like the Cozy Pig is a little bit on the experimental side on there because it's a community item that is in there, which is something that's not usually done on the coupon code. And next week, I think they're going to try to do something unusual in that. I wasn't sure whether he meant that you'll be able to use the coupon code twice, or if he's saying that it'll deliver 2 items. I'm not too sure exactly which of the 2 things it is, but it's going to be something unusual in the things delivered, and they're going to be testing to see whether or not that works. So be known that there are going to be a couple of tests done in the next couple of weeks while Cordovan is playing around with the coupon code system. So we hope that anything he tries goes well.
Yes.
And anything else? Oh yes, you're talking about 14-year-old ring. You did note something that got found out during someone data mining the Borer build, because you know how people sometimes like data mining things and finding things that are in there that aren't mentioned in the release notes.
Recipe books by chance?
No,
Oh.
I think the best thing that it looked like that they could be window rings.
Oh. You can ring your own window.
Well, I don't think it's some. I don't know if it sums window, but I mean, it looks like a ring that you might get from window because I'm trying to think of why in the world would there be a piece of jewelry that expires in 14 days.
I know. It's a ring around a window. That's what it should be.
Yeah,
A
and haven't you
ring
ever had
around-
and Pine Leaf, haven't you ever had a ring pop? That's technically a piece of jewelry that will expire in a few days or even quicker. Maybe
Sometimes
within a
it
couple
takes
hours.
less than an hour. If you give it to children, it's gone like that.
Well, yeah. Anyway, it's something that maybe looks like it might be a temporary item that you get. When you talk, maybe it's when you talk to Winda, you get that on top of the bottle or something. So I think that's one of the things that might be coming in the new VIP rewards program. Of course, since it wasn't intentionally put out in public or anything like that, it's obviously something that is, let's say, subject to high amounts of change.
Fair enough.
Yes. So let's then head into our week in gaming. And Krister, what were you up to? I heard that you were fighting a giant kraken or something.
Yes, we had to go into a gigantic place, like a big spa, and beat up one of the people that was using the spa. But that person was a gigantic green blob who had very evil intents and liked to ruin other people's boats, which we thought was very rude. So we attacked him and killed him, as you do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so the depths, we went into the depths once more. It was kind of a weird start because we had several people go tentative and we weren't sure if we were going to get a raid together. And then we had 11 people, and then the 12th was going to be 10 minutes late. But eventually we got going, and we steamed ahead to victory there. So that was another good night. Well, the team won. I think everybody's kind of preparing themselves. We had a brief. We decided to check out, see if we could do boss 1 on T2. We couldn't do group 1 on T2. It was a pretty quick demonstration that we've got a long ways to go with our gear. We're ready for T2. But the other thing was that we worked through a bit of the quest as well. The quest line, thanks to Cinders and Pine Leaf. Thank you guys for helping me out with that. Of course.
Happy.
And that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, I forgot to turn in. We went to one end of the map and then came back from it. And then I didn't turn in at that one end of the map. So I had to go back. So that was the least fun part of that night. But other than my terrible mistake, that was a lot of fun and advanced the quest line quite a bit. And then the other things this week, we're playing. I just got Baldur's Gate and playing multiplayer with a couple of friends of mine. It's been a lot of fun. Doing Helldiver 2 as well. Been a lot of fun building. I'm having my Minecraft itch, so I'm building some spaceships and Starship Evo. Kind of work that out. And then been having a lot of fun with the AI art. And my favorite thing now is with Adobe's AI engine, trying to get it to actually spell words has been a hysterical exercise in what it like uses letters sometimes. And sometimes it invents its own letters, and then you'll never actually get whatever you're stating. But you'll get something that kind of, there was obviously some of the things some of the letters you use, some shapes are there, or some full letters are there maybe, but it's never what you're expecting. So it's been wonderful because one of my favorite things is, since I have such an odd mind, is that oftentimes when I mishear something, what I misheard was absolutely amazing, and then when I clarify it, it's something boring. So I always like that kind of element of chaos and everything. So this is the perfect tool for me to have fun with. So that's been my week.
you'll find out that it was written in Vogon or something like that, right?
That's what I'm thinking. Because if you think about it now, I'm just going to put this out here. I know this is just a movie, but when in the Star Trek, what was it? What was the one where the Klingon world was blew up? And Christopher Plummer was the one guy. But anyways, when they were talking about how you needed to experience Shakespeare's native Klingon, I feel like I'm going to be able to write that equivalent book. So I'll be able to write the Shakespeare equivalent in Volgon, even though we haven't talked to the Volgon. We're not going to talk to them in about 300 years. But and then they're going to look back.
This is the Vogons.
Hey, we're the Vogons.
I mean, well, you got to remember with how bureaucratic the Vogons are, it's.
Yeah, you're right. I want somebody funner. So maybe
you need something. You need someone a lot more fun. I mean, the Vogon's idea is that if someone put in an order to destroy the Earth, I mean,
they would do it.
They would do it. I mean, that's what the orders are. If all the paperwork is right, of course.
Yeah, that's why I think Ewoks might be better, because I think they would like appreciate the fact that we're like fellow, like living things, and they'd like to party with us.
Okay.
They get mad at us with cutting down the trees, but we'll work through that part. So anyways, it's been a lot of fun. Overall, had an enjoyable week. It felt pretty good this week. So, Cinders, what were you up to?
So, I played quite a bit of Stardew Valley this week, actually. So I am super proud of myself, and I'm going to brag on myself for just a minute. I made it to level 35 in the mines all by myself. This is the first time I've made it past level 5 on my own. And managed to accumulate over 45,000 gold, which I've, of course, been spending. And I'm only on fall day 17 of year 1, but I've got like 3 fruit trees. Fishing is also like the bane of my existence, but I managed to catch all of the fish for the bundles except for 3 of them. And so I did that. I've really been enjoying that. Plan to continue doing that, and just see how far I can get before I get sidetracked with something else. And then, like Krister was saying, we did play LOTRO on Thursday, and I was laughing so hard by the time we got done that I had like tears rolling down my cheeks. Gave myself hiccups because I was trying to breathe. Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew you were that funny, but you were that funny. And then I told Sans, and she was laughing about it too.
I forgot what was funny.
Okay, so when Krister went on his little epic trip across the map and back, I did accompany him on that. So he might have been feeling like it was terrible, but I thoroughly enjoyed that. But then, so we got all the way to Jack's Finale, and we went down to the Haradrim camp, and we we slayed our way through it, and it was glorious. And we got all the way back to Jack's Finale, and Pineleaf realized he had forgotten the Book of Flora. So Pineleaf and I turned right around, and we went back down. And I went down on a war steed, and Pineleaf went on his regular sensible steed. And Krister was still back behind us in Jack's Finale. He was just a little bit behind us. So we get down there, and I start just, like, going through on my war steed, like, just trying to distract things so Pineleaf can grab his book. Pineleaf grabs his book. He's like, okay, I've got the book. And I'm, like, at the other end of the camp. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go back across the camp. And then Pineleaf's like, oh, do you need help? And he goes back into the camp, gets off his steed to help me. And I was like, oh, no, I'm just going to keep going, and eventually they'll drop aggro. He's like, well, you should have told me that. So then I turned around with my trample on and was going back. And at about this time, Krister has gotten to the other end of the camp, and he's coming from the opposite direction, also on a heavy war steed using his trample skill. And so as I'm going through, not only am I sending people flying, but I can also see Krister coming at me, and people are flying. And in the background of this, as, you know, we're just like trampling things, trying to figure out what's going on with Pineleaf, Pineleaf is like, really? Really? And we're like, what? And he's like, I just got my trap set. Like, my decoy was about to blow up in this whole group of mobs' face, and you guys, we had just trampled through unintentionally, and it happened, like, probably 2 or 3 times, and Pilot was just like, what are you doing? We were like, we're so sorry.
That's what I call some good trampling right there.
Yeah,
you trample your opponent. You tick off your friends. You accomplish a good trample.
And then we finally got all the way back to the other end. We all were at the same end at the same time finally. And we were like, okay, we're done. And then we went back up into Jack's Finale. But it was a fantastic way to end it. And I definitely was like laughing so hard I couldn't hardly breathe or talk and had hiccups afterwards. And yeah, it was great. Pine Leaf, how was your week?
I'll begin with my main warden, who finished the quest deed in the city of Umbar. And while I was doing those quests, I was doing those quests in the gut where I was supposed to collect these 6 kegs within the gut. And of course, as usual, trying to speculate, how am I carrying all these things?
Pine Leaf, I can't tell you how many times I've had to contemplate how do I get 6 kegs into the gut.
Right. Anyway, so I eventually decided that there could only be one explanation, even though it's not going to be a very productive one. And that is that it all involves an ancient hobbit secret on just how to keep things, how to carry all this stuff in here. If you're going to be nice and burglarious, you are going to have to know this ancient hobbit secret. So I'm not very burglarious personally because I don't know the secret, but I am sure that all these hobbits are laughing sneakily that they are able to get all this stuff into their little pockets. This ancient hobbit secret. Maybe it's just a bag of holding or something, but I am sure that even the formula for making bags of holding must be an ancient hobbit secret. So that's all. That's the conclusion I came up to, because how else can they do it?
See, I just thought they drank it.
All halfling leaf is really just lettuce. That's the secret. That's why they're laughing. See? Or you said it had an effect on you? Oh. Just lettuce.
Yeah.
It's just a model.
Right. And also at Friday Night Fights, my minstrel joined the crew and we ran the Threshold raid. And I had not known that they were planning on doing the Threshold because I had thought that they were planning on doing Dragok. So I came on there originally on a lower level character, all raid for Dragok. He says, "Oh no! See, no, we all discussed it on Facebook, and right, I don't follow Facebook, so therefore they all changed the plans on there. So I got onto my minstrel because I figured, well, it looks like we're going to need a healer in there. So I came in with my minstrel, and we went through the raid, and I was talking to Durin all the way through. I kept on talking to Durin at various points in there in order to advance this quest during the course of the raid, so that I wasn't sure because I couldn't remember the raid or anything like this. And during this time, I noticed a couple of things. First off, my minstrel had done this raid before. And then the second thing is, right at the end of the raid, people were telling me that I was the only one that got a goat in there. I said, what? Oh, I got a goat because the quest I kept on advancing during it was the main quest for doing the Threshold. And I had happened to have the quest on there. I didn't realize that I had taken the quest at some point earlier and gone all the way through it. But my minstrel had done this raid before. So I could only imagine that 2 years ago, I had done this one in there. And at the end of it, I realized I did not take the quest. So I must have gone back, taken the quest, so that someday, if I ever did the raid again, I would be prepared for it. And now last night, was finally the time where it happened.
And you were.
And Piley was the goat.
So, yeah. So now I have the goat from the Threshold raid. And as for my Junior Mariner, I have finally finished up with Mori. I did the whole thing with the Hall of Mirrors and the water wheels and doing all the stuff up. And now I am finally being sent out to start on Mirkwood out of Moria. Thank you. I mean, I wish I was going to a brighter and happier place than Mirkwood, but at least I'm out into a place where, well, I'm not going to say it's bright and sunny because we are talking about Mirkwood here, but it's certainly better than being stuck underground.
Yeah, I was going to say Moria, compared to Moria, it is a brighter and happier.
Yeah, compared to Moria, it is a brighter area. That's right. And
Has
I
bigger
could actually
spiders, though.
Huh?
well,
I
It
thought
has
big
bigger spiders.
Oh, it does.
well, yeah, it has bigger spiders all. But of course, also in all, a place where I can actually have port skills too, because mariners don't get port skills into Moria because for some reason no one is able to sail a ship from any of the waterways into Moria. I have no idea why.
There's plenty of water in Moria.
Yeah, navigable water though is what you usually need.
Yeah, you probably need some kind of submersible.
And
Scuba
that
gear.
is yes, and that is it for my week in LOTRO. We have no emails this week, but if you'd like to send one, you can send it to podcast@LoTROplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News and re-record DDO Players News when Drac is available. And you can listen to us on LoTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.